The drama begins with the male lead, Tian, who is very handsome and rude. With him is his stepsister, Ming Li, and they both exit the house in a very stylish way. Meanwhile, the female lead, Jung, is talking to her friend Lin about a romance novel. They are both editors at a publishing company. While they are talking, their chief comes and starts scolding them because he didn't like the novel's cover color. They are given 3 days to change it. Afterwards, they both decide to go to the terrace to relax. Jung wants to see her crush, Tian, whom she considers her ideal man. On the other hand, Tian and Ming Li arrive at the office, both showing attitude to each other before going their separate ways. A staff member approaches Ming Li and says, "If you don't pay the loan, there will be a problem with the bank. You will have to become the CEO soon, or the company will face a huge loss." Meanwhile, Jung is watching Tian with her drone camera when his secretary Sushan comes and talks to him about Ming Li's bank payment. Tian then leaves. Jung watches them and thinks, Sushan must be talking to Tian so romantically. Later, Ming Li, Tian, and Ming Li's brother, Jian, are sitting with their father who says, Tian is very talented. He should be made the CEO. Ming Li dislikes this and says, Tian and his mother did not do right by us, so he should not become the CEO. Jian adds, Tian will handle everything very well, but Ming Li does not agree. Their father gets up and leaves but suddenly feels unwell. He worries about who will manage the company after him, especially with the upcoming vote for the next CEO. When Tian comes to check on his father, Ming Li and her mother say many harsh things to him, and he leaves. Jian asks his sister, "What is your problem?" To which Ming Li replies, "You are my real brother, so why do you take his side?" Ming Li then worries that all the votes will go to Tian. Meanwhile, Zheng, whose financial condition is not good, sees Tian's car from afar and thinks, "What if I had this life?" Lin consoles her. Elsewhere, Tian is thinking, "My father's condition is very bad, and Ming Li will go to any extent for the CEO position." The next day, when the voting for CEO takes place, Ming Li prevents all of Tian's supporters from entering. She gets her own people to vote, becoming the CEO. A heated argument breaks out between Tian and Ming Li. Tian is holding an important envelope. Ming Li tries to hit him, but Jian arrives and takes Tian to the terrace. Ming Li follows them there and demands the envelope. As Tian raises his hand to give it to her, he suddenly grabs her by the neck. During the struggle, someone pushes Tian, and he falls from the terrace. Zheng was watching all of this with her drone. She doesn't know what to do and starts crying. Lin arrives, but Zheng can't tell her anything and quickly leaves. Ming Li tells everyone, "Find out whose drone that is and where it came from." Meanwhile, Zheng is watching the news about Tian and is very sad. When she goes to the office, she is still distraught. A staff member tells her, "You have to go to the hospital to meet the chief editor." Zheng doesn't want to go but has no choice. At the hospital, Sushan is very worried about Tian, crying and praying. Ming Li arrives and orders Tian to be transferred to another facility. Sushan protests. He is in such a critical condition that he can't be moved anywhere. But Ming Li doesn't listen and proceeds with the transfer. Just then, Zheng arrives at the hospital. As Tian is being wheeled past, he grabs Zheng's hand. Zheng gets scared, and everyone is shocked. Zheng recognizes Ming Li as the one who was on the terrace with Tian. Scared, she freezes. Ming Li pries Tian's hand off Zheng and tells the doctor to check if he has regained consciousness. The doctors refuse and take him away in the ambulance. Later, Ming Li is about to remove Tian's oxygen mask when the doctors arrive and she is unable to do it. Meanwhile, Zheng starts having nightmares that she didn't help Tian, and she gets very scared. She develops a high fever. She somehow picks up her mobile to call Lin, but faints before she can speak. When she wakes up in the morning, she feels completely refreshed. On her way to the office, she thinks, "I had such a high fever last night. How did I become so fresh?" When she reaches her office building, she sees that it has become much larger. Zheng is shocked. Just then, Lin arrives and takes her inside. When Zheng sees Lin's ID card, her name is changed, and she is shocked. But Lin says, "Maybe you've gone mad." When she reaches the office, Sushan is there. Zheng says, "What is she doing here?" Then she looks at her own ID card and sees that she works for the royal company. She sits alone and thinks, "What is happening? Am I sick? Or did I die last night? Have I become a ghost?" But that's not it. While walking through the office, she bumps into a man and says to him, "Mr. He, are you okay?" The man replies, "You work in my office and you don't even know my name? You are just doing this to get my attention." Just then, the man's friend comes and takes him away. Lin comes and shows Zheng some pictures and Zheng says, "This is Mr. He." Lin corrects her, "Not Mr. He. This is the CEO of this company, Situ Oran." The one you are talking about is a novel's hero. Jung remembers the novel character and goes outside to think. She sees Aran there and realizes she is in the world of a novel. She starts screaming. The scene shifts back to the real world, where Lin has brought the unconscious Jung to the hospital. Meanwhile, in the real world, Ming Li again tries to remove Tian's oxygen mask. Just then, Jian arrives and scolds her, saying, "If you do this, I will have to hand you over to the police." But Ming Li is determined to kill Tian, thinking, "I will spread the news that we tried very hard to save Tian, but we couldn't." Jian gets very worried hearing this. Back in the novel world, Jung is very troubled. Then she thinks that this world is much better than her real world. Her financial problems are also solved. And I am the lead of this novel, she thinks. So I will fall in love with a CEO. She imagines how CEOs come to save heroines. And then she climbs a tree, hoping the CEO will save her. Instead, she sees a girl in front of her whose name is Chu. The CEO comes and saves that girl. Jung thinks, have I come here just to be an audience member? Meanwhile, in the hospital in the real world, Jian goes to meet Tian, and Chu is there. Jian asks her, "Are you dating Tian?" Chu says, "We were about to meet when Tian had his accident." Then, in the novel world, everyone is at the office. When the CEO arrives, all the employees start cheering. Just then, Chu comes and gives the CEO a chocolate. Jung takes the chocolate from her and starts eating it, saying, "I like this very much, and I can't resist it." The CEO starts looking at Jung angrily. Everyone in the office is talking about Chu. Later, Sushin takes Lin and Jung to the washroom. She tells Jung to fill a bucket of water. They take the bucket and pour it on Chu, then put the empty bucket in Jung's hand. Chu starts crying. At that moment, the CEO arrives and misunderstands the situation, thinking Jung is the bully. He starts questioning Jung, so Jung says, "I have OCD, I can't see anything dirty." She somehow manages to send the CEO away. Sushin then tells her, "You are on our team. We will bully Chu together." Jung now feels that she is not the main lead, and she runs to find the novel. She reads many romantic novels and thinks about how she can become the main lead and keep Chu away from the CEO. In the real world, Lin is with Jung at the hospital. The doctor tells Lin that Jung is in a deep sleep. Lin tries to wake her up, but Jung doesn't respond. Meanwhile, Ming Li is plotting to make Tian's body disappear. Sushin sees in the news that Ming Li is handling all the office issues. She feels terrible about this and goes to the terrace to find evidence, but someone appears from behind, and she has to leave. Back in the novel world, Jung goes to Chu and apologizes, trying to befriend her. Chu also talks to her nicely. Then Sushin comes and says, "We are going to have an event with an investor." Jung thinks, "I will not let Chu get close to the CEO." Everyone is busy with the function, so Jung thinks that if something happens to Chu, the CEO will come to her rescue. To test this, she pulls Chu's hair. Just as she expected, the CEO arrives. She tells him, "It happened by mistake." The CEO thinks she is deliberately bullying Chu. Meanwhile, Lin and Sushin ask Jung, "Why are you being so nice to Chu?" Jung says, "The CEO saw me bullying her yesterday, so I'm doing this to look good in his eyes." Then the CEO's friend, whose name is Feng, says, "You work in this company, but you don't know the CEO or me." They both introduce themselves. Meanwhile, Chu is about to climb a ladder, so Jung runs to save her and falls from the ladder herself, and her nose starts bleeding. In the real world, at the same moment, Jung's nose also starts bleeding, so Lin calls the doctor. In the novel world, Feng comes and gives her first aid. Just then, Chu arrives and thanks her, "You helped me." Feng starts looking at Chu, and Jung understands that Feng likes Chu. Then everyone gets busy with their work. Jung wants to protect Chu in every way, but the CEO thinks she wants to harm Chu. Just then, Feng tells the CEO, "I don't think so," because Jung helps Chu a lot. Later, Sushan tells Jung, "You should be bullying Chu, not helping her." Jung just smiles. Meanwhile, Chu touches a live wire and is about to fall on a statue. Just then, the CEO comes and saves her, and Jung's plan to be the hero is ruined. Then everyone is in the medical room with the CEO. Chu starts crying and apologizes to the CEO. He puts his hand on her cheek and tells her not to cry. Jung gets very angry. Then the CEO says, "I will drop Chu home." Jung says, "Drop me home too." The CEO refuses, but his friend Feng says, Jung is also an employee of this company, so she should also be dropped off. The CEO agrees. The three of them are in the car. Jung squeezes in between them so that no romantic scene can happen. After dropping Chu home, Jung comes and sits in the front. The CEO drops her at the bus stop and leaves. Just then, Feng arrives and takes her to a hotel. They both talk, and Jung asks, "Do you like Chu?" Feng says, "Yes, she is very cute and very decent." Then Zheng says, "She will be the second lead, and I will become the main lead." Feng doesn't understand what she means. Feng also asks her, "Do you like the CEO?" Zheng says, "I don't know about that, but he is my ideal." And then she remembers how she used to look at Tian, and she starts to miss him. Meanwhile, Ming Li's mother is talking to her husband, complaining that he never talked to her. Just then, Ming Li arrives and says, I have become the CEO, but I don't have his will. Until Dad gets better, nothing will be right. When Ming Li comes to the office, she sees all the employees praying for Tian. Seeing this, Ming Li gets very angry and decides to fire 1/3 of the employees. Jian tells her, this way the company will go into loss. Ming Li replies, I don't care about that. She then takes a secret video of a director and blackmails him into supporting her instead of Tian. In the novel world, the investor meeting is about to start. Everyone comes dressed up. Chu also comes, and her dress is very nice. Jung says to herself, she is the main lead, so her dress will be beautiful, and then thinks, watch, she will fall. And she does. Just then, the CEO comes and saves her, so Jung starts to get jealous. She tells Chu, don't go anywhere alone. Wherever you go, tell me and let me help you. Chu agrees. Then Sushin tells Chu to bring some boxes from a truck, so Jung also goes with her. When they lift the boxes, Chu remembers that her mobile is left in the truck. Jung goes into the truck to get her mobile but can't find it, and the truck door closes. The truck is an ice cream truck, so its temperature is low. Jung starts to feel cold, and her condition worsens. She thinks, I'm not even the main lead. Who will come to save me? Meanwhile, Sushin asks, where is Chu? She went to get the boxes. The CEO leaves in his car to find her. They find the truck and tell the driver to stop, but the truck driver says, its brakes have failed. It won't stop. The CEO climbs onto the moving truck. Jung is surprised. You came to save me? Now they both have to jump from the truck and Jung gets scared. The CEO holds Jung and jumps, and they fall to the ground. Jung starts crying and hitting the CEO, saying, you are the main lead. You have power. I am nothing. What if something had happened to me? The CEO doesn't understand anything and tells her, if you want to hit me on the back. It won't hurt there. Later, we see Oran in a meeting. Jung is also there, and she notices Oran looking at Chu. Her mood sours. Just then, Feng comes to her and asks, how did you know that Chu was going to be trapped? Jung replies, I just know. The CEO comes and says, you intentionally want to harm Chu. Jung retorts, if that were the case, Chu would have been in the truck instead of me. Then he says, from today, I will keep an eye on you. He makes Jung Feng's assistant and tells him to watch her. The next day, when Jung is going to her new desk, her old colleagues are sad that she will no longer be with them, and they say goodbye. But when Jung finds out that her new cabin is right in front of the CEO's, she becomes very happy and spends the whole day looking at the CEO instead of working, smiling to herself. Just then, Feng comes to her and says, if you don't work properly, you will lose this job too. Then she starts doing her work. During lunchtime, she sees that Chu is sitting separately and having lunch, and her food falls. Jung brings her own food for Chu. They both talk, and Chu tells her, my financial condition is not good. I study alongside my job, and my brother and I are in a lot of debt. Hearing about her struggle, Jung feels very bad, but she thinks, if the CEO finds out about all this, my chance is over. The next day, Jun gets an idea and sends Chu and Feng into an elevator, then turns off the elevator lights. Seeing the darkness, Chu gets scared. Feng and Chu talk and realize that Jung sent them there together. Meanwhile, the CEO sees on a security camera that Jung turned off the lights. He comes and gets angry at Jung and fires her. He also takes the stapler and scissors from her desk, saying they are office property. Jung leaves. When she goes outside, Feng is behind her and tells her, I will tell the CEO everything, that you did all this for me. Jung says, what will happen if the CEO finds out that you like Chu? Just then she thinks, now I will open a hotel and sell popcorn in it. Then Feng asks her, do you know how to repair a toilet? To which Jung says yes. Feng says, I have a job for you where you will also have a place to live. Hearing this, she becomes happy. In the real world, a man is following Sushin and snatches her purse. After a while, he returns the purse, but something is missing. That man then goes to Ming Li and gives her an envelope. When Ming Li looks inside, it's not the document she was expecting, and she gets angry at her subordinate. In the novel world, Jung arrives for her new job, and the house belongs to the CEO, Oran. Both are shocked to see each other, but Jung quickly enters his house. Oran calls Feng, and Feng says she knows how to do everything. She even knows how to repair a toilet. Secondly, if she stays in front of your eyes, she won't be able to harm Chu. So Oren agrees and then tells Jung to fix the toilet. Jung asks Oren to bring the tools and then repairs the toilet. Then the CEO tells her, don't put garlic and onions in the fridge because I don't like the smell, and always keep the lights on. And then he shows her to her room. When he's taking a shower, Jung, despite not wanting to, starts looking at him. He gets angry and says, "You took my picture?" Jung gives him her mobile, showing she didn't take any pictures. And then he asks, "Why were you looking at me?" Jung says, "It's your fault. You are so handsome that my heart wants to keep looking at you." Oren doesn't know whether to be angry or happy. He leaves and looks at himself in the mirror and starts laughing, thinking, "What's my fault in this? My mom and dad were also beautiful." Jung thinks, "The CEO is really very handsome, and I am in his house. I will do anything to make him mine." She looks at the fridge and sees only water bottles. She goes shopping and brings back her favorite things. She thinks the CEO doesn't eat much, but at least she will. She makes breakfast for herself because she thinks a CEO wouldn't eat at home, but when he comes, he sits down and eats everything. Only one tomato is left for Jung, so she eats that. Then she starts doing all the housework. Meanwhile, when the CEO goes to the office, Feng says, "Sir, you look very happy today." Aaron replies, "Seeing my enemy in front of my eyes 24 hours a day gives me peace." Just then, Chu comes and is about to fall, and the CEO saves her. Feng feels very bad seeing this. Sushin and Lin also think, what kind of employee is this who can't even walk properly? Sushin tells Lin, the CEO fired Jung from the office because of Chu. Lin gets very angry. Meanwhile, Feng takes Jung to a hotel for a meal. Jung asks him, "Doesn't the CEO like to eat?" Feng says, "He eats everything except tomatoes." She asks, "What is the CEO allergic to that would make his condition worse?" Feng says, "I sent you there to win him over, not to murder him." She thinks, "I came here to have a romance with the CEO." She thanks Feng for reminding her, and then eats a lot of food. In the real world, many employees start protesting against the company because Ming Li had fired them. Ming Li gets worried because she can't handle the situation. She starts arguing with Jian. "You didn't support me." In the novel world, Feng asks the CEO to have dinner, to which he says, "No, from today I will have dinner at home." He also refuses Feng's invitation to go on a trip. Meanwhile, Sushin and Lin are very jealous. Why is the CEO taking Chu on a trip? Chu says, "I don't know anything about it." Sushin says, "Go and tell the CEO that you can't go." Chu says, "No, I will definitely go." The CEO goes home and Jung is cooking. He tastes the food and says, "This food is not cooked well at all." Jing grabs the CEO and pushes him out of the kitchen. She then serves the food and sits nearby. The CEO stares at her, so she stands up. Just then, the doorbell rings. Jing starts to go to the door. The CEO realizes that it's Chu and runs to stop Jung. He comes close to her and she thinks, "Why is the CEO coming so close to me?" He whispers, "You need to hide." Jung says, "I will agree on one condition. You have to give me a chance to sit and eat at the dining table with you." The CEO agrees. He opens the door, and Chu is all drenched from the rain. He tells her to change. Then he tells Jung, "Give Chu some of your clothes and wash and dry her wet ones." Jung gets very angry but does it. She then makes garlic soup for Chu. Just then, Chu goes into the kitchen, and the CEO hides Jung. Later, they are sitting and talking, and Chu starts to get close to the CEO, so Jung starts coughing loudly. Chu is surprised, so the CEO also starts coughing and says, "I have a cough." Then the CEO tells Chu, "I will drop you home." Jung goes and disables the car's brakes. The CEO says, "You'll have to stay here tonight." Just then, Feng arrives and says, "I will drop Chu off." Jung had called him. When they are back inside, the lights go out. Jung says, "I'll go check." The CEO grabs her shirt and says, "You might be scared. I'll check." Then the CEO tells her, "You stay with me." She makes chicken popcorn for herself and starts eating it with relish. The CEO thinks, "She's living a better life than me." The CEO takes Jung with him to the bathroom while he showers and tells her, "You stand outside and don't look inside." After his shower, he tries to sleep, but the lights are still out. Jung stands holding her mobile's flashlight and gets tired. The CEO also can't sleep, so she starts telling him the story of Cinderella. The CEO says, "Do I look like a 3-year-old to you?" Then Jung starts telling him a suspense story and they both start laughing. Jung sits holding the CEO's hand because she is scared. When Jung starts to fall asleep, her hand starts to slip. The CEO grabs it tightly again. In the morning, Jung sees that the CEO is awake and thinks, "Despite having such a big bed, I slept on the floor." Then, seeing the blanket on herself, she thinks, "The CEO must have put this on me." Then she dismisses the thought. They both have breakfast and start competitively eating from each other's plates. The next day, Jung goes to the office to meet Lin and Sushin. They ask her, "Where do you work?" Jung tells them, "I am the guardian of a naughty child." Then Lin tells her, Chu and the CEO are going on a business trip, and the CEO has booked a very expensive hotel. Jung gets very angry and takes the hotel address. She calls Feng, and he says, "I wanted to go, but the CEO refused me to my face." So Jung decides to go there herself. In the real world, Ming Li is talking to her mother. Her mother says, "You are doing all this against Yan. He is your younger brother." Ming Li replies, "I am doing everything for myself." Meanwhile, Yan goes to the protesting employees. He tells them, "I will help you." Then Ming Li comes from upstairs, and a fight breaks out between them. Jean asks, "Why are you doing all this?" But Ming Li threatens the employees. "If you don't stop the protest, I will fire all the staff and hire new people." In the novel world, Chu and the CEO go to a resort, and their meeting goes well. Jung also arrives at the same hotel and asks to book a room, but it is very expensive. Just then, the CEO and Chu arrive, and Jung hides. The CEO tells Chu, "You will get a spa and hydrotherapy here too." Chu asks, "Can I use all these facilities?" The CEO says, "Yes, absolutely." Jung tells the staff, "I want the most expensive room with all the facilities." She takes the room next to the CEO and Chu's. Then, noises start coming from their room. Chu's scream is heard, and the CEO comes running. Jung is watching and tells the staff, "Quickly go and help that girl," because she doesn't want the CEO to touch Chu. The CEO asks the staff for a new room, but the staff says, "A girl has already taken that one." Jung thinks, "If I don't give up this room, they both will stay in the same room." So she gives up her room. Then Jung comes out and starts thinking, "What should I do now? How do I keep the CEO away from Chu?" She runs to the other side of the resort and sees Feng there and is shocked. They talk and she asks him, "Weren't you coming here?" Feng says, "No, I wasn't, but when I came to drop Chu off, I saw her more closely and my feelings changed. Now I want her." Jung says, "Yes, you like her, and we will try our best to change destiny." Later, the CEO and Chu are having dinner, and the CEO keeps remembering Jung and smiling. After dinner, Chu asks, "Will you come with me to a place?" The CEO says yes. The staff comes and tells Feng and Jung, "You two will have to share a room because there are no other rooms." Jung says, "I have no problem." Feng says, "You can do so much for the CEO, why can't you share a room?" He starts to leave, but then remembers that he booked this room, so he shouldn't be the one to go. Jung sees Chu and the CEO from the window, who are going somewhere. Feng and Jung both start watching them. It starts to get dark, and the CEO becomes scared. Jung says, "Look at your friend. He doesn't let a single light be turned off at home, and here he has come to a dark forest with Chu." Feng says, "You don't know about his problem, so don't make jokes." Something starts to happen to the CEO. Chu says, "Turn off this lamp so we can see the fireflies." The CEO fearfully turns off the lamp. He remembers sleeping in the dark while holding Jung's hand. Here, Jung thinks, in his love for Chu, he has overcome his fear. Then Chu and the CEO start to leave, and Jung and Feng hide. Chu says, "I want to catch some fireflies in my hand," and she leaves. Then her scream is heard. She is about to fall from a cliff, and the CEO goes and saves her but faints himself. Jung and Feng arrive there, and Jung starts crying and calls for an ambulance. In the real world, Ming Li finds out that her dad's condition has become very critical. She goes to the hospital and says, "Dad can't die like this. He hasn't left anything to me in his will." At the same time, Tian's condition also starts to worsen. The doctors arrive and say, "The condition was serious, but now it's a little better." Meanwhile, the chief editor is scolding Lin. How did Jung get into this novel's love story? Lin starts to delete Jung's name from the novel manuscript. When she looks again, Jung's name reappears in the novel by itself, and Lin is shocked. In the novel world, Jung is sitting with Chu and tells her, "Don't tell the CEO that I came here." She makes her promise. When the CEO regains consciousness, he says, "I'm fine," and tells them, "I am afraid of the dark." Chu asks, "Why does that happen?" He tells her, "My dad used to lock me in a dark room to punish me, and would light a candle and drop its wax on my hands." Hearing this, Jung feels very bad. Then, Jung and Feng are returning home. Jung is very sad. Feng tells her to forget about it. Meanwhile, the CEO goes to drop Chu off. She is about to fall again, and the CEO catches her and asks, "You can't even walk, so how did you get me to the hospital?" Chu replies, "I called an ambulance." She doesn't tell him the truth because she had promised Jung. The next day, Jung is happily eating chips. Just then, the CEO comes downstairs, and she quickly picks up a vacuum cleaner and starts cleaning. The CEO asks, "Since when have you become so diligent?" Jung replies, "I am very determined." The CEO says, "First, plug in the vacuum." Jung gets embarrassed. Then he asks, "Whose hair clip is this?" Jun gets nervous and says, "Maybe it fell in your room while I was cleaning." He says, "Do you know where I found this?" And then asks, "Did you follow me to the resort? And did you go there to hurt Chu?" Jung gets very angry and says, "Have you ever seen me hurt Chu?" He says, "Then why did you follow us?" Jung says, "Because I like you." The CEO asks, "Why do you like me?" Jung replies, "For your money." And then the scene cuts. Jung goes to a restaurant with Feng to eat and tells him, "I didn't want to confess like that." She then imagines confessing her love in a dramatic Korean drama style. Feng tells her, "It's nothing. Don't think so much." Meanwhile, the CEO is thinking, what should I say to this girl? He feels hungry and thinks, how should I ask her for dinner? Then he thinks, why should I stay hungry? When he's about to ask Jung for dinner, the doorbell rings. He thinks it will be Jung, but it's Chu, and he is shocked. Meanwhile, Jung tells Feng, I have to go home because I have to cook for the CEO. What will he eat? Feng says, you care so much for him. I wish someone would care for me that much. Jung becomes happy and thinks, well, at least I got a compliment from someone. Meanwhile, Chu has made dinner for the CEO and had come to give him a purse that was left with her. The CEO tells her, you could have given this to me tomorrow. Chu says, I didn't remember. They start eating, and the CEO remembers Jung. When Chu cleans the table, the CEO thinks about how Jung used to clean with boiled water. Just then, the doorbell rings. Jung comes inside, and Chu is shocked to see her. Jung pretends to be the CEO's neighbor and starts to leave. The CEO says, there is no point in hiding this anymore, and he tells Chu everything. Jung brings fruit for Chu and the CEO. Chu gifts the CEO a nightlight so that he won't be scared in the dark. The CEO talks about dropping Chu home, but Jung doesn't like this. When Chu gets up and is about to fall, Jung thinks, this time I won't let the CEO save her. She jumps to catch her, and they both fall on each other, accidentally kissing. All three are shocked, and the scene cuts. When the CEO takes Chu home, he holds her hand and starts to lean in to kiss her. But he notices a cut on Chu's lips and remembers his accidental kiss with Jung. He leaves Chu and comes back home thinking, this girl hurts herself to ruin my relationship with Chu. He takes a first aid kit and starts to go towards her room, but then puts it down and doesn't go. In the real world, Lin goes to the hospital to check on Jung and sees a cut on her lips. She thinks the doctors there don't take good care of her and feels bad. Meanwhile, Jian handles the employee protest very well, and everyone praises him, starting to see him as a replacement for Tian. Ming Li doesn't like this and transfers him to another factory. Jian feels very bad. When he goes there, the factory is in very bad condition, and only elderly people work there. Ming Li's mother comes and asks her, why did you send Jian there? Ming Li gets up and leaves. In the novel world, the CEO is having lunch when Feng comes and asks, did Jung confess her love to you? The CEO says, how do you know? And adds, Jung is doing all this to hurt Chu. Feng replies, have you ever seen her hurt Chu? She really likes you. The CEO starts to think about this. Jung goes to meet Chu and Chu asks her, do you like the CEO? Jung says, yes, I like him. Chu says, I like him too. Will you give us both your blessing? Jung says nothing and gives a fake smile. Later, when Jung is making dinner for the CEO, he tells her, meet me in the study room. I need to talk to you about something. She goes to the study room and the CEO tells her, take this money and leave. Because you like me and I like someone else, it's not right for us to live together. Jung gets very sad and, in her imagination, kneels and apologizes to the CEO. But in reality, when she is about to kneel, she can't bring herself to do it. She says, I don't need money like this. And putting the money down, she starts to leave in a funny way. She thinks, how can I leave the money? So the CEO says, anyone who wants this money can take it, and Jung picks up the money. The CEO thinks, does she really like me for my money? Jung packs her things and then thinks that the CEO likes cleanliness very much. She takes all the things out of the fridge and starts cooking, making a huge mess in the kitchen. Just then, the lights go out. She runs to the CEO's room and says, I have many stories to tell. But seeing the nightlight given by Chu in the CEO's hand, she becomes sad and starts to leave. The CEO wants to stop her but can't. Jung turns the fuse back on and starts eating while crying. Then she leaves the house. The CEO is also very sad and feels bad. The next day, when the CEO comes to the office, Feng asks him, why are you sad today? He says, it's nothing like that. Then, seeing Jung back in the office, everyone is very happy. Sushin, Lin, and Jung go for lunch and also invite Chu, but she refuses. Lin says, you always stay separate from everyone. You never come with us. Just then, the CEO and Feng arrive. Jung thinks that the CEO will look at her or talk to her, but he starts to help Chu instead. Jung gets sad and thinks, these two have a very strong connection. I will have to make him the main lead now, and I have to make Chu stronger. She tells Chu, why don't you eat with everyone? If you stay alone like this, no one will be able to bond with you. To motivate her, she takes her to the conference room. Meanwhile, the CEO is watching everything on the CCTV camera and gets angry. He tells Feng, come, I will show you Jung's true colors. They both start listening to their conversation. Jung is explaining to Chu how to build a good bond with everyone. Feng says she is giving her good advice. But the CEO still has doubts and tells a man to keep an eye on her. The next day, Chu has lunch with everyone and is also talking. Feng says, "Sir, look, Jung was just trying to boost Chu's confidence." The CEO gets confused. Jung and Chu are standing at the bus stand and Chu thanks Jung. She then says, "I am going to the amusement park with the CEO." Jung's mood sours and she says, "Chu, you are strong. You can go alone." But Chu says, "I like him, so I will go with him." Jung thinks, all my efforts have been in vain. When she goes to the office, she tells Lian and Sushin, "Today, there is good news and bad news. The good news is that the CEO's mood will be good. The bad news will be known soon." Just then, Chu comes and gives the CEO a ticket to the amusement park and asks him to go. The CEO agrees. Jung goes to the terrace. Feng also comes, and she says, "I can never become the main lead. Now, whether he goes to the amusement park or stays in a room, it doesn't matter to me." Feng tells her to stop thinking like that. Jung says, "Leave me alone," and Feng leaves. Then she says, "Lin, where are you? I don't want to stay here. I want to go back to the real world. Maybe if I die, I can go back." She tries to jump from the terrace but then thinks, "I'm afraid of heights." She goes back home and thinks, "When I had a fever, I came into this world. If I get a fever again, maybe I will go back to the real world." She takes a bath with cold water and her condition worsens. She gets a high fever and falls asleep. When she wakes up in the morning, she thinks she has returned to the real world. Then she gets sad, thinking, if that happens, I won't be able to see the CEO again. Just then, Feng arrives. She is shocked and asks, "How did you get here?" Feng says, "I made many calls to you. You didn't answer, so I came." Jung starts crying and says, "I want to go to the real world." Feng hugs her. In the real world, Jan's mother calls him and says, "I have talked to Mingli." Meanwhile, Mingli starts to remove Tian's oxygen mask but stops and says, "I thought if you weren't here, everything would be fine." But nothing like that happened. Everyone is thinking about Jian, but no one is thinking about me. She becomes emotional. In the novel world, Feng and Jung are fishing. Jung is very sad, and Feng tries to cheer her up. Jung thinks how Chu and the CEO must be enjoying themselves at the park and starts crying. Feng tells her not to cry. Then Feng gets a call from the CEO, who says that Chu never showed up. Feng goes to the CEO. Jung goes to find Chu, thinking, "Is this my second chance to get the CEO?" She goes to Chu's house and sees that the condition of the house is very bad. As soon as she goes inside, someone hits her hard on the head, and she gets a head injury. In the real world, Jung's head also starts bleeding, and Lin gets very tense. In the novel world, Chu comes to the hospital and says sorry to Jung. She tells her, "My brother hit you on the head because he thought you came to collect a debt. I was at the hospital with my dad because he is sick, and in my absence, these people messed everything up." Hearing all this, Jung feels very bad and brings them to her home. Meanwhile, Feng and the CEO are talking. The CEO says, "My date with Chu was cancelled, but I don't feel bad." "Do I even like Chu?" Feng asks. "Why do you think you like Chu?" The CEO says, "She is kind, cute, and innocent." Feng remembers that he had said the same things to Jung and then says, "You like her because the writer wants you to." The CEO doesn't understand this. Jung brings Chu and her brother to her home and gives them money to get their father treated, saying, "I will give you the rest of the money later." She then thinks, "Am I not being too soft on my rival?" She calls Feng and tells him that Chu's father has pneumonia. The CEO tries to listen, but Feng hangs up the call. In the real world, Jean reaches an address that an uncle had given him. When he gets there, Ming Li is also present. He hides upon seeing her. He then goes to the office and Ming Li is already there. He asks, "What are you doing here?" Ming Li asks him for the will. He says, "I don't have it." Just then, Ming Li gets a call that the lawyer has been found. Because Ming Li had threatened his family, Jian tells her, "Don't do so much wrong." Ming Li says, "You also know what wrong you have done." A flashback reveals that on the day of the accident, Jian was the one who pushed Tian and the scene cuts. Jung is very worried that she has promised Chu money, but she doesn't know where she will get it from. But she will do anything to get the CEO. Sushin and Lian ask her to go out, but she says she has some work and goes for a part-time job instead. Jung works as a mascot in a cafe, and Feng arrives and starts smiling when he sees her. He asks, "Why are you doing a part-time job?" She says, "I have to buy bags for myself." Feng asks her to act cute, and they both start smiling. When she comes home, she talks to Chu, who tells her, "The CEO was asking about you." He said, "How is Jung's pneumonia? I hope other employees don't get it too." Hearing this, Jung feels very bad. Jung starts working a lot, and due to lack of sleep, she falls asleep in the office. Feng tells the staff not to wake her up. Being very busy, she starts ignoring the CEO, and the CEO doesn't like this change. The CEO goes to see Jung on the pretext of getting coffee. Then Sushan is going to get a file, and the CEO says, "Give it to me. I will give it to Jung. When he goes there, Jung is not there. He gathers courage and asks, "Where is Jung?" Sushan says she has gone to get a file. Meanwhile, when Jung is coming back to the office, she sees Jian on the way. He is the CEO's brother in the real world, and here his name is Buran, but we will call him Jian. Jung is shocked to see him and has flashbacks of him pushing Tian from the building. Remembering this, Jung faints. Feng rushes to her side. Feng tells Jian, "Tell the CEO that I am taking Jung to the hospital." Jian goes to the CEO and says, "Just now, a girl fainted from my handsomeness." But the CEO doesn't pay attention. Then Jian says, "That girl's name is Jung?" The CEO leaves everything and rushes out. Jian then checks Jung's profile on the CEO's laptop. The CEO reaches the hospital and asks Feng what happened to her. When he comes inside, Chu is sitting next to Jung. He starts asking about Jung's condition, and Chu starts to answer. Jung thinks the CEO is asking Chu the questions. Then the CEO says, "What was the need for you to do all this alone? You should have told me." Chu replies, "I didn't feel it was right," still thinking he is talking to her. Then Chu says, "Let's go out together." The CEO says, "You be quiet. I am talking to Jung." Jung doesn't give any answer, so Feng tells him to leave. The CEO goes back. Feng tries to wake Jung up, but she doesn't. He pulls the blanket off her, and she starts crying and says, "Whatever I do, I can't become the main lead." Feng calms her down. She asks about Jian, and Feng says, he is the CEO's stepbrother who has only come to take money. Jung says, "Tell the CEO to stay away from Jian." In the real world, Ming Li is talking to her mother when Jian also comes. Ming Li talks to Jian about the will, and he refuses. Ming Li burns the will, and then has a dream that she has been removed from the CEO's position. Tian and her dad had also come. Her eyes open, and she gets tense. She goes to the hospital to see Tian and tells her staff, "Install a CCTV camera in Tian's room. I need to keep an eye on him. I must not lose under any circumstances." In the novel world, the CEO is lying down but can't sleep. He starts to miss Jung. He thinks, "I should be missing Chu." He starts to text Jung, but it gets sent to Chu by mistake. He then calls Feng and says, Jung has helped Chu a lot, so she should be given a good gift. Feng says, "Okay, we will tell the staff." The CEO says, "A very special gift has to be given." Feng says, "Leave it, sir. You have a meeting tomorrow at 2 p.m. Prepare for that." The CEO comes to the meeting. Sushin starts giving the presentation, and the CEO says, "Call all the staff." Everyone thinks that maybe the CEO is doing this to see Chu, but when the meeting starts, the CEO keeps looking at Zheng and asks her to speak. Zheng says, "I made this report, so what should I say?" The CEO says, "You just speak. I am listening to you." All the staff are surprised and think the CEO is targeting Zheng. After the meeting ends, the CEO tells Zheng, "Come and meet me in my office." When she comes, the CEO tells her, "You have helped Chu so much. Do you want a gift or money?" She thinks he is only rewarding her because she helped Chu, and she leaves. Feng comes up to her and they both start talking and laughing. Seeing them like this, the CEO feels jealous, and the scene cuts. Meanwhile, Chu asks the CEO to meet her outside in the evening, and he agrees. Zheng's mood is bad, so Feng takes her to do yoga. When they are doing yoga, Zheng falls on Feng, and they both come very close to each other in a romantic moment. Meanwhile, the CEO is not feeling good being with Chu. He remembers Zheng's words that she is very close to Feng, and he gets jealous. Chu suggests a restaurant, but he doesn't listen to her attentively, and Chu notices this. Meanwhile, Feng and Zheng also go to a restaurant. Zheng is eating, and her hair falls in her face, so Feng fixes her hair with his hands. Just then, the CEO comes from upstairs, grabs Zheng's hand, and says, "She's not well, and you are taking her out for so long." As soon as he grabs her hand, the CEO starts getting flashbacks, but he ignores them and takes Zheng away. Feng can't say anything. Coming out, Zhen gets very angry at the CEO. He says, "Why are you flirting with my friend? I don't like it when someone hurts my friend." Zheng replies, "It's nothing like that. He is my best friend. And why are you stopping me? You yourself are with Chu all day, and you don't even have manners. How could you just drag me from there?" The CEO says, "Get in the car." Zheng says, "I won't," and leaves angrily. The CEO remembers Zheng's words. She had called him Tian. Who is this Tian? He wonders. Then Feng comes to the CEO and asks, "Where is Zheng?" The CEO tells him, "She didn't come with me." Feng says, "Don't behave like this with Zheng." The CEO says, "I am saving you from her. She will hurt you." Feng replies, "I like her, and I expect my best friend to respect her." Hearing this, the CEO is shocked. When the CEO is sleeping at night, he has a dream of falling from a building. He gets scared and searches online for what it could mean. The next day, when they go to the office, the CEO says, "Good morning" to Zheng instead of Chu. Everyone is shocked. Chu feels jealous. Feng tells the CEO, today you spoke very well with the bank, and also tells him to stay away from Jian. Later, he and Chu are in the elevator. She asks to meet his friend, and he agrees. In the real world, some investors are having a meeting with Jian's uncle and talk about votes for the next CEO. Ming Li's assistant tells her this time everyone is thinking of making Jian the CEO. Ming Li goes to Jian and argues with him, starting to hit him. The uncle records all of this. In the novel world, everyone in the office is preparing for an exhibition. Zheng is painting. Just then, Jian arrives, and she starts screaming upon seeing him. Jian tells her, "Am I a ghost that you get scared seeing me?" The CEO arrives and says, "You can't trouble my employees like this." Jian brings Zheng in front of him and says, "You are talking about this employee as if she is your woman." Then he asks, "Is she your woman?" Zheng says no, and the CEO also says no. Then Jian and the CEO go to eat. The CEO asks Jian, "Why did you come here?" Jian says, "Dad always gave you more attention." The CEO says, "Dad didn't even punish you. I used to get punished for everything." Then he asks the CEO, "What do you want? How much money do you want?" Jian says, 20 million. The CEO says, "Okay." At night, when Zheng comes to the office for some work, she gets a call and runs away. Meanwhile, Feng is also going somewhere. The CEO asks him where, and he says, "I am going to meet someone." The CEO thinks he is going to meet Zheng. Then the CEO also gets a call. Meanwhile, Zheng's painting is ruined. She thinks, "Our program is tomorrow, and I will have to fix this painting." She starts painting again. At one point, the painting is about to fall on Zheng, but the CEO comes and saves her. He says, "You are here? I thought you were with Feng." Zheng says no. He then asks about Tian, and Zheng says, "He is my ideal and looks exactly like you." The CEO says, "You should introduce me to him." She says, "That's not possible." The CEO starts to fall asleep there and says, "I couldn't sleep anywhere else, but I fell asleep next to you." Zheng asks, "Are you having nightmares?" He says, "Yes, I feel like someone is pushing me from a building." Zheng says, "Is someone chasing you?" He asks, "How do you know someone is chasing me, and who is doing it?" She says, "Your brother, Jian." The CEO says, "Why are you coming between me and Jian?" Zheng becomes silent and tells him to be careful, then starts crying. The CEO doesn't like seeing her cry and says, "I don't like you crying. I like that crazy Zheng very much." She says, "Who would like me?" The CEO says, "You don't want anyone to come near you and like you." Saying this, he goes closer to her and kisses her. He then says, "Sorry," and leaves. Zheng is shocked and touches her lips, thinking about the kiss. When the CEO goes home, he also thinks, "How can I like Zheng?" He touches his lips and remembers the kiss. Meanwhile, Zheng is thinking, why is the CEO having dreams about Tian? And how did Yan come into the novel world? Feng and Chu go to eat. Chu says, "The CEO doesn't give me attention anymore." Feng says, "It's nothing like that. He cares for you." Chu then gives Feng a gift. In the real world, Jian's uncle instigates him to kill Tian, and Jian agrees. He starts to go with some men to kill Tian. Just then, Ming Li's assistant tells her that Jian has gone to the hospital with some people to kill Tian. Ming Li also leaves from there and watches everything on the CCTV camera. But when they both reach the hospital, Tian is not there, and the CCTV footage is on a loop. Jian gets very angry, and Ming Li understands that Sushan must have done all this. In the novel world, when the CEO and Zheng see each other, they remember the kiss scene, and a box falls from Zheng's hand. Feng is also watching them. Someone else is also secretly watching them. When Feng comes to Zheng, Chu also arrives. Zheng understands that Chu gave the gift to Feng, and she starts teasing him. Feng says, "It's nothing like that." Zheng's foot is injured, so Feng starts to examine it. Seeing them like this, the CEO feels very jealous. Just then, Chu comes and asks the CEO to go out. The CEO thinks that this time, he will tell Chu everything and agrees to meet her. Zheng sees these two and feels jealous. When Zheng goes to the washroom, someone locks her in. The man whom the CEO had told to keep an eye on, Zheng calls the CEO and tells him, Zheng has been locked in the washroom for 30 minutes. The CEO comes running and saves her. Zheng becomes emotional and hugs him, then asks, "Why did you kiss me?" The CEO says, "I am also looking for that answer. You should rest now." They both come out of the washroom. Just then, Chu comes out from a nearby room. She was the one who locked Zheng in. Chu asks to meet with Zheng, and Zheng says yes. Later, Zheng and Feng are eating, and Zheng says, "I am very happy because I have become the CEO's favorite." Feng feels very jealous. Zheng comes out to see Feng off, and Chu is coming from the other direction. She sees them together and takes a picture. Chu goes to meet Jing and tells her, "This is your money back. Because of it, my value in the CEO's eyes has diminished." Zheng says, "That was not my intention." Then Chu, acting dramatically, says, "The CEO has asked me out tomorrow. Jung is shocked and thinks, how can the CEO treat both of us the same? The next day, when Jung comes to the office, Feng and the CEO are coming from the front. She says good morning to Feng, and the CEO feels jealous. Just then, Lin and Sushan come and take Jung away, saying, someone has posted a picture of you and Feng on the office website and written below it that this girl is two-timing. She is shocked. When the CEO sees the same picture, he asks Feng what it's all about. Feng says, instead of feeling jealous, you should protect Jung so that she doesn't get into trouble. The CEO goes to save her. A staff member is about to throw coffee on her, but Jung takes the coffee and throws it on that staff member instead. The CEO thinks, she doesn't need my help at all. Then the CEO comes to Jung and takes a selfie with her. Chu gets angry seeing this and starts taunting Jung. The CEO gets a call and leaves. Meanwhile, Chu pushes Jung. She falls and gets hurt. But when Chu sees that the CEO is coming back, she pretends to fall down herself and says, Jung pushed me. All the staff start speaking against Jung. The CEO tells Jung, apologize to Chu and end this matter. Jung gets very angry and slaps Chu. Everyone is shocked. She then leaves. The CEO goes after her and says, why are you doing all this? Are you jealous of Chu? She says, it's nothing like that. I have always helped Chu and she has done all this to me. She tells the CEO the whole story and says, Chu did what she did, but you also sided with her. All men become like this after seeing beautiful girls. The CEO says, you also like Tian. What is your relation to him? Jung says, it's nothing like that. He is just my ideal. The CEO asks, if you had to choose between Oren and Tian, whom would you choose? Jung replies, that's not even possible. In the real world, Jian comes to his mother and says, Ming Li is not well. Give her this medicine. It will help her sleep well. His mother gives her the medicine, but they are not sleeping pills, but drugs. Ming Li starts having strange dreams. When she comes to the office, she starts getting violent with everyone, and the video of her and Jian fighting is playing in the office. This video was made by the uncle, and all the office workers believe that Ming Li has gone mad. In the novel world, when Jung comes to the office, Feng and the CEO are talking. The CEO asks Feng, do you know who Tian is? Feng then asks Jung who Tian is, but she says nothing. She finds out that Chu has not come to the office, so she asks Feng, do you know why Chu didn't come today? Feng says, yes, I saw her in Jian's car today. Hearing this, Jung quickly leaves and goes to Chu's house. Her brother says, Chu hasn't come home since yesterday. Just then, Jung gets a call from Jian, who says, Chu is with me. Jung runs there. It's very dark. After wandering for a long time, she finds Chu in a locked room and quickly gets her out. But then Chu locks Jung in the same room. Jian tells Chu, call the CEO. Chu doesn't want to because she wants to keep the CEO away from Jung. Jian says, if you don't call the CEO, I will kill your family. Jung tells her not to call, but Chu calls the CEO. When the CEO arrives, Jian starts fighting with him in the dark. Jung tells Chu, you open the lock, we will save the CEO together. Chu opens the lock, and Jung tells her to call the police. Meanwhile, Jian locks the CEO in a room. Jung tries to break the lock but can't. The CEO grabs her hand and says, don't go anywhere. She also promises, I won't go, and tries to break the lock again. Just then, Jian finds out that Chu and Jung are not in the room. He brings petrol and says, come out or I will set this place on fire. Jung hides. When he's about to set it on fire, Jung comes out. The CEO also breaks the lock and comes out. Jian grabs Jung. He tells the CEO to let Jung go, but Jian grabs the CEO instead and says, you go from here. But Jung says, we will die together, but I will not leave. The CEO says, what a crazy girl I have fallen in love with. Just then, the police arrive and take Jian away. Feng and Chu also arrive and get sad seeing them so close. Coming home, Jung applies ointment to the CEO's wound and says, I only love Oren. They both confess their love, kiss, and spend a romantic night together. The next morning, when Jung wakes up, she is very happy to see the CEO next to her. The CEO starts having nightmares again. Jung asks, are you having nightmares again? He says, now that you are with me, everything will be fine. The next day, Jung is making breakfast and thinking about Oren. Just then, Oren comes and asks her what she's thinking. She says, I am thinking about Tian. He starts to kiss her. She takes Tian's name again, so Oren kisses her again. Then she makes a cake to appease Oren. He doesn't relent, so she starts to leave angrily. He grabs her hand and makes her sit next to him. She asks about the dream again, and he says, I see that I am in a hospital, and there are many people around me. Just then, the CEO gets a call and leaves. The CEO goes to his father's grave and says, sorry, I couldn't take care of Jian. Feng arrives and starts hitting Oran, saying, because of you, Jung got into so much trouble. I didn't leave her because you like her. I left her because she likes you. Oran says, you are my very good friend. When my dad used to lock me in the dark in childhood, you used to save me. I can give you everything except Jung. Oran then extends his hand for friendship, and Feng agrees, but he is very sad. Meanwhile, the CEO goes to get flowers for Jung. When he goes home, Jung is not there. She has gone to her own home, so the CEO leaves for her house. When Jung finds out that the CEO is coming, she starts to do her skincare and sees that her house is in a very bad condition. She hides all the mess. When the CEO comes, he says, "Who can live in such a small house?" And then says, "No, your house is very nice and neat." When he's about to sit on the sofa, something pokes him. It's Jung's trash. There are also clothes scattered under the bed. The CEO says, "Come home with me," but she falls asleep in his lap. Aron gives Jung chips, and she becomes very happy. The CEO says, "You love money so much. When I gave you money, you gave it to Chu. Now you are so happy with such a small gift." He then kisses Jung. He tells her about a surprise and leaves. Meanwhile, Chu tells Feng, "I don't have a chance with the CEO, but have you confessed your love to Jung? If not, you should." Feng starts to think about this. Aron has brought Jung to his house where he has surprised her with many things, and they both spend a very good time. In the real world, Jian had given Mingli drugs and made her appear mad. In front of the company, he proves that she is mentally unstable. Now, no one can stop me from becoming the CEO, he thinks. He then tells his uncle, "Find out about Tian, lest he regain consciousness." Meanwhile, Aran starts having nightmares again. Jung wakes him up and asks why. He asks about Tian, and Jung says, his stepbrother and stepsister have tried to kill him. Aran says, maybe he won't come back from the coma. His life has become a tragedy. Jung asks him, "Are you happy?" Oren says, "I am the happiest." Then Oren asks Jung to have dinner, and she gets ready. The next day, they both go to the office together. Jung is scared that everyone will hate her for being in a relationship with the CEO, but the CEO kisses her on the forehead in front of everyone, and they are all shocked. Seeing all this, Feng feels upset. Sushan and Lin tell her, "Everyone loved seeing you two as a couple." Lin then tells her that Chu has resigned, so Jung feels very bad. Feng comes and tells her, "Don't be upset about Chu." He asks her to dinner, but Jung says, "Today I have dinner with Aran." Feng becomes silent. Jung thinks, he has supported me and always stood by me in my bad times, so I will definitely go to dinner with him. She promises Feng, and he becomes happy. Meanwhile, Aran takes ideas from Lin and Sushan on how to propose to Jung. Jung tells Aran, "Today I have dinner with Feng." Aran asks, "What about our date?" Jung says, "Feng is my very good friend. I can't say no to him." Aran says, "Okay, you have dinner with him. I will wait for you." Jung agrees. She goes to dinner with Feng and thinks that Feng is upset because of Chu. She starts to cheer him up, but he remains upset. They talk, and then Jung is about to leave. Feng says, "Don't leave me. I will be alone, and I will disappear. You will also disappear." Jung thinks, what is he saying? Could it be that we are novel characters and we will disappear? She then leaves. On the other side, Aran is getting very angry because he has been waiting for Jung for a long time. She comes and asks him, "Are you going to propose to me?" He says, "How do you know?" Jung says, "I know. I love you so much. If we disappear, you won't forget me." Jung pulls Aran and jumps into the pool, and they both kiss. In the real world, Tian's father passes away, but due to Ming Li's poor condition, no one tells her. Here, Tian's condition also starts to worsen. In the novel world, Aran starts having nightmares again. Zheng wakes him up and Aran says, "I feel like something very bad has happened." Jung tells him, "You have fulfilled all my dreams. Now you will fulfill your own dreams too." In the next scene, Jung and Aran visit their old school. Aran tells her, "My dad never came for me. He was always available for Jian." Jung feels very bad hearing this, and she gives him a graduation degree. Aran gives a speech. Jung starts clapping for him, and then gives him a gold medal. They both take a picture. Aran asks Jung, "Where is your family?" Jung says, "I have no family. I have been an orphan from the beginning." Hearing this, Aran feels very bad and hugs her, saying, "I am your family, and we will celebrate all important dates together." They both are very happy. The next day, Aran goes to give Feng his wedding card. Feng becomes very sad upon seeing it. Aran tells him, "You are my only family. I will wait for you. You will definitely come," and then leaves. Meanwhile, Jung also comes to the office and her friends start treating her like Mrs. CEO. Jung gives them the wedding card. The three of them go out to party. In the party, some men start harassing Jung. She starts fighting with them. Just then, Aran comes and saves her. He picks her up and takes her away. As soon as they get to the room, he tells her, "Why are you acting like this? You are going to be my wife." Jung says nothing and takes him to the balcony saying, "Don't be afraid of the dark. This is the moonlight. If I disappear, you should still marry me." Aran says, "Why do you keep talking about disappearing? I will never forget you," and then kisses her. In the real world, the uncle tells the company employees to vote for Hyun because they have no other option. Everyone agrees. The uncle asks Jian to sign 50 files. Jian is very lazy and says, "Uncle, you have already read them," and signs them. The uncle starts to smile because there is some discrepancy in the files. In the novel world, Jung is getting ready for her wedding day. Lin and Sushin come and praise her a lot. Feng arrives, and the two friends leave. Feng tells Jung, "You are doing the right thing." Jung says, "I want you to get married too, and for you to have a happy ending." Feng starts to smile. Feng comes to meet Oren. Oren is very happy to see him, but Feng jokes, "I saw your wife before you did." Oren starts to smile. Everyone is waiting for Jung, and she looks very beautiful. She is very happy. She comes to Oren and he tells her, "I love you," and then Oren starts to disappear. Everyone is shocked, except for Feng. Jung is shocked and says, "I haven't even said I love you yet. We just exchanged rings. And what is all this that has happened?" Back in the real world, Lin completes the novel, "CEO, you are so naughty," and Jung wakes up. Seeing this, Lin runs to call the doctor. Jung starts calling Aran's name. Lin tells her, "Aran is a novel character. Why are you calling him?" Jung realizes that she is back in the real world. She asks about Tian, and Lin says that there is no news about him yet. On the other side, Jian's men had found Tian and were going to kill him. Sushan tries to save him. Ming Li's assistant comes and stops the men from killing Tian. Just then, Tian regains consciousness and they call the doctors. Here, Jung's tests are being done. All the tests are normal, so Lin jokes, "Test her IQ too." Ever since she woke up, she has been talking like a mad person. But Jung is still in shock and thinks, "What should I do?" Jung comes home and sees the same broken cup from when she fell and fainted. She thinks that all of this was real, which means Oren is also here somewhere. Meanwhile, Jin and his mother watch the news on TV that Tian has completely recovered. They are shocked to see this. Jung also goes to meet Tian. People try to stop her, but she runs past them. There is security there, and they catch her before she can get to Tian's room. The next day, she goes to the police station and complains. On that day, Jian pushed Tian from the building. They say, "You have come after 3 months." Jing says, "I was in a coma for 3 months, and the footage is on my drone, but I don't have that drone." Meanwhile, the chief starts scolding Lin for changing the script again, but Lin says, "I printed it as it was." In the next scene, the police go to Tian and tell him about Jung's statement. The drone is with Ming Li's assistant. Tian says, "Provide security to the one who has complained for me." When Jian finds out that a complaint has been filed against him, he sends his men after Jung to kill her. When Jung gets on the bus, she feels that some people are following her and quickly gets off and starts running. Just then, Tian's car stops. Seeing Tian, she hugs him and says, "Finally, I found you." Tian doesn't understand anything. Tian gets out of the car and is in a wheelchair. Jung feels very sad to see this. He thanks Zhang and says, "For your security, you will stay with us." But Jung gets emotional. She asks Tian, "Are you afraid of the dark?" Tian says, "No," and hearing this, she is disappointed. In the next scene, Jung tells Lin she is the same Zhang who is in the novel. Lin doesn't believe her. She starts asking her questions about the novel, and Jung gives the exact answers. Jung says, "Don't talk to me like that, or I will think I have gone mad." She then says that if the writer publishes the book, everything will be clear. They both go to the writer, but the writer pushes them both out. Meanwhile, the uncle comes to Jian and says, "The police may come to investigate you and you will have to find that drone." Jian says, "That drone is with Ming Li." The uncle says, "Meet Ming Li as soon as possible." Here, Tian also goes to meet Ming Li. They talk and Tian says, "You have always misunderstood me and my dad and killed my mother." Ming Li says, "I thought that you and our dad ruined our family, but we had no intention of killing your mother." Tian says, "Dad treated everyone equally." He shows her the will and tells her that he has set up an equal business for everyone. Ming Li gets emotional and leaves. When Jian comes to meet Ming Li, they say that she has been discharged. Jian thinks that Tian must have done all this, but the doctors say that her mother got her discharged. Ming Li comes to meet her mother and tells her about Tian. She starts crying while hugging her mother and says, "The one I considered my enemy was the one who got me discharged. My real brother, Jian, is against me." Meanwhile, Lin and Jung are looking for Feng's novel. The chief comes to them and says, "Find it quickly, or our company will go into loss." Zheng and Tian go to a cafe. Tian asks, "Why are you like this?" She says, "I talk about novel character." Just then, Tian finds out that Zheng is a novel editor. He then asks about the darkness, and she says, "I will tell you the meaning of that later." Zheng comes out of the cafe with Lin and tells her, "Whenever I meet Tian, I start to remember Oren. What is happening? I don't understand anything." Tian orders many romantic novels and starts reading CEO, You Are So Naughty. The next day, the police come and take Jian away to start their investigation. But Jian starts making excuses, and his lawyer says, "My client is tired." They let him go. When he is coming out, Ming Li is also coming. She tells him, "I am going to the police station to give this drone as proof." Jian tries to stop her, but she doesn't listen and leaves. Meanwhile, Jung is thinking of publishing the novel. She meets the writer who says, "This was my story, and when I came back my girlfriend was married, so I burned the happy ending of this novel." Jung asks him to write it again, and the writer agrees. Jung comes and tells the chief, but the chief says, "Our company is already running at a loss, so we can't take this risk." Jung convinces the chief and he agrees on one condition: if she also publishes Tian's biography, which is very popular these days. Jung mails Tian, but Sushin sees the mail and doesn't tell him. The next day, Jung waits a lot, but Tian doesn't come. She goes to a temple and starts praying, the same place where she had prayed for Tian before. Just then, Tian comes and asks, "Did you pray for me?" Jung says, "Yes, I need to talk to you about something. I have to publish a book, and I want to include your biography in it, so I will have to interview you." Tian agrees, and she is shocked. He says, "You can come to my house and interview me there." Jung interviews Tian, and during the interview, Tian also starts asking her questions. He asks, "What is your family status?" Jung says, "I am an orphan," and adds, "I am taking the interview. You are not interviewing me." Tian says, "I also want to know about you." Seeing a novel in his room, Jung asks, "Do you read novels?" The novel, The Naughty CEO, is there. He says yes, he reads, but this novel is not yet complete. She says she will conduct the rest of the interview tomorrow and goes out. When she goes out, Chu is there. They both talk, and Jung leaves. Jung has a meeting with her chief editor, and he is very happy. Jung starts laughing while hiding her emotions, and Lin takes her out. Jung says, "I am very sad. Chu has also come into my real life. I will not go near Tian," and gets emotional. The uncle calls Jian's mother and asks where Jian is. His mother says, "I think he has gone abroad." Jian had gone to meet Ming Li. When he reaches there, Tian is already present with Ming Li and Jian leaves. Tian tells Ming Li, "The loss we are facing in the company is because of our uncle. Now we both have to work together as rivals in front of them and fix all this and find out how much money they have spent." Ming Li says, "Jian has done all this." But Tian says, "Jian has helped me a lot, so I will support him." Meanwhile, Lin comes to interview Tian, and he asks, "Why didn't Jung come?" Jung is thinking at the office when she hears Tian's voice. She looks back, and Tian is really there. He says, "I said yes to you for the interview, and you sent someone else. I am not that free. You can come to my company for the interview." And saying this, he leaves. Ming Li's mother comes to her and starts crying, saying, "What kind of sister are you? Who does this to their brother?" Ming Li says, "You always take Jian's side and kept me away from Tian. Jian has done very bad things to me." The next day, Ming Li goes to her office, and the uncle also comes. She tells the uncle, "You will handle all the company's issues." Tian and Ming Li pretend to be each other's enemies. The uncle says, "Now that Tian is back, everything will be fine." Just then, Jung arrives, and Ming Li recognizes her. Tian asks, "How do you know her?" Ming Li says, "When you were in a coma, you held Jung's hand." Hearing this, Tian is shocked and says, "How can this be? You were also in a coma for 3 months, and so was I." Just then, Chu arrives and says, "Our company is having a dinner." Tian also invites Jung, but she says, "I will not come because I am not an employee of this company." Jung goes to dinner with Lin, and Tian and his employees also come to the same restaurant for dinner. They both try to hide their faces and are about to leave when they bump into Tian. They have to have dinner there. They play a game and drink a lot. Tian stops Jung and says, "I'm about to faint," because he had drunk too much. Jung takes him home, and they both start talking. Tian has a fever, and Jung starts taking great care of him. When Tian is asleep, he says some lines to her that Oran had said in the novel world. She is shocked and asks him about it, and he says, "I must have said it in my sleep." She then looks at his novels. Meanwhile, the uncle calls Ming Li and says he needs to talk to her urgently. Ming Li tells Tian this. When the uncle comes, they both start talking, and the Bluetooth is also connected to Tian. Sushan and Ming Li's assistant are in the uncle's cabin searching. The uncle tells Ming Li their investment is 30 million. Ming Li is shocked and says, "I also want to invest." The uncle tells her, "I will help you, but first, you have to help me. You have to get Tian out of the CEO voting." The uncle then leaves. Ming Li and Tian talk, and she says, "Uncle knew our weak points, so he kept creating arguments between me and Jian." Then the uncle gets a call and leaves. Meanwhile, Ming Li's assistant and Sushin are searching in the uncle's room. While coming out, a dustbin falls, and they pick up some papers from the dustbin and give them to Tian. They start looking for proof in it and find a paper on which the uncle had paid a bill to a company. Sushan says, "I will go get information about this." Tian says, "No, we will send someone unknown." Meanwhile, Lin and Jung are at the hospital. Jung is very sad because her orphanage director had passed away. She was very close to him. When Tian finds out, he comes to Jung and tries to console her. Jung tells him, "He was like my father. When there was a parent-teacher meeting in school, he used to attend." Tian starts to celebrate all the days with her, just like Aran did. Jung tells him to go, but he says, "I will not go until you love me." He then starts to kiss her. They are both sitting in the car. Tian holds Jung's hand, and while getting off, he tells her, "Whenever you need me, you can ask for my help." Jung silently leaves. Going home, she looks at the novel and thinks, are Tian and Oren the same person? No, they can never be the same. She goes to conduct Tian's final interview. Ming Li and her mother go to meet Jian and tell him, we should hand ourselves over to the police because it is both of our faults. If we do this, Tian will also help us. Jian agrees. Meanwhile, Tian starts to call Jung, but she doesn't pick up his call. He calls the office number and asks, why are you ignoring me? Jung says, I am busy, but still agrees to meet him. Jung comes to meet Tian, and he says, why are you ignoring me? I will handle everything. Meanwhile, Tian and Ming Li together expose the uncle and gather evidence against him. The uncle says, I did everything with Jian's permission. Ming Li starts to hit the uncle. Tian stops her and says, everything is with the police now. On the way, the police catch the uncle. Here, Ming Li's mother says sorry to her and promises never to treat her that way again. In the next scene, Tian holds a conference and promises to bring the company back to the top. Just then, Chu arrives and asks, will you be with me? Tian says, no, right now I have to win back my girlfriend. You will find a very good man. Chu agrees and gives him her blessing. Tian starts to follow Jung everywhere. Wherever she goes, he sends a drone to keep an eye on her. When Tian reads the ending of the novel, he faints. When Jung finds out, she runs to the hospital. But Tian is not there, nor at his home. When Jung comes to her home, he is there and has brought popcorn chicken for her. Jung asks, how do you know I like this? Tian says, I am Oren. Jung says, are you just saying this after reading the novel? Then Tian convinces her, and she believes that he is Oren. Tian kisses Jung. They both become one, and they talk about how they went from the same novel into each other's story, and then became one in the real world too. They are very happy. Then they have a registration marriage and finally become husband and wife. In the next scene, they both go on their honeymoon. They enjoy their honeymoon with a natural view. Meanwhile, Feng's novel also has a happy ending. When Jung and Tian are sleeping, Jung takes Feng's name in her sleep. Tian says, you and I have seen the same dream. They are both happy for Feng. They both start to kiss. And this is where the drama has a happy ending.